Hey everybody, I'm ProfessorSnipe and I'm going to be reviewing the M5K for your engineer class. I want to thank EA for reaching out and picking me to review this weapon, and I would like to give a shout out to Antonio Plays for the win. Now the M5K is a rank 28 personal defense weapon for the engineer class in Battlefield Play for Free. In real life, this M5K is called the MP5K and is part of the MP5 family, which is manufactured by Heckler & Koch. Now the M5K in Play for Free is a unique SMG. It's the first one to be a 3-round burst. Now the design of the M5K is very plain. It has that average metallic look to it, and there isn't anything too special about it. Occasionally, you will be able to spot a red marking on the side of the weapon, and the back of the gun is also a reflecting edge, which reflects the scenery behind you, kind of like what the sniper rifles scopes do as well. Now the iron sights of this gun are very thin and small. They're easy to use, but when enemies are running at other directions, it can be awkward sometimes. I found myself, not really kind of using the iron sights too well, and they're not really my favorite iron sights, but they do work. And I would actually prefer if it had the similar iron sight as the MP5. Now, this weapon is a 3-round burst, which fires at 821 rounds per minute, which is technically the fastest firing SMG in this game. It has 24 bullets per magazine and 4 magazines, giving you a total of 96 bullets. A very good feature of this particular weapon is the reload time of only 2.8 seconds, which is really good when you run out of ammo and you need to pop in a mag and get back into the action. And trust me, you will run out of ammo. The M5K has a projectile velocity of 550, which is not amazing, it's pretty average, but it's not a very important factor on this gun since you'll be using this thing at short range and bullet speed doesn't really matter. Next up, we're going to be talking recoil and deviation. This is something very important, so you guys better listen up. First up, the recoil is one of the shortest and lowest in this entire game. Its vertical recoil is very similar to something like the G53 and the MP5, and the horizontal recoil is one of the best I've ever felt in my life. It almost feels inexistent. While using this gun, you will barely notice any recoil because it's so low. Now the interesting part is of course the deviation. No matter if you're standing or you're crouched, the aim down sight deviation is one of the worst. It is what makes you kinda inaccurate. Now the bullets will go off target if you keep on tapping that trigger and if you keep on shooting. If you thought it couldn't get that interesting, I'll prove you wrong once again. If you take a look at the hipfire deviation, crouched or standing, it's one of the best. Now that is something pretty weird because you have the worst deviation while aiming down sight, but the best while you're hipfiring, so that's something really important to take account of. The hipfire accuracy is not the best. It will kill at close range, but at medium range or even at extreme close range, it's not that reliable. And a tip to give you guys is not to keep tapping the trigger. It's not going to help your accuracy. Although this gun does have a fast rate of fire, it doesn't mean that you have to spam the trigger because it will really make your weapon inaccurate and you will just end up dying. We're going to be moving on to damage. From 0 to 10 meters, which is close range, you will be dealing 26 to 28 damage, which is beastly. Moving on to medium range, which is 10 to 22 meters, the damage drops off to 21 to 25. And lastly, at long range, which is 22 meters or more, it dips down really low at a damage of 9 to 13. As you can obviously tell, this gun is definitely the close quarter weapon. Even using this thing at medium range is pretty challenging, so don't go out using this weapon at long range. There's no point. You even have a better chance of killing somebody with a tracer dart, and if you want to know why, it's because of the ammo. Now, I did state previously that the M5K did have an ammo count of 24 bullets per magazine, and that is correct and pretty good, Weapons like the MP5 have the exact same count, and obviously those weapons are really good, but what makes this ammo count really bad? It's the fact that it's a 3-round burst. Now, if you take that 24 bullets and you divide it by 3, you will get 8, and that represents how many actual bursts you have, which would be 8 in this case. We can agree that not all 3 bullets of the burst will be hitting your enemy, so you can hit a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 3 bullets per burst. So if you combine that with the extremely fast rate of fire, that results into a weapon that burns through ammo very, very quickly. So I found myself asking for ammo a lot and running through, asking a lot of ammo and running through assaults and stuff like that. So I would also suggest having a really good and reliable secondary because you will be using it while using this weapon. Even though this thing has such a fast rate of fire, I would suggest not to fire this thing really quickly. I would personally rather slow it down a tiny bit and have more accuracy and landing more bullets on my enemy so that those bullets I fire will actually be worth it. What maps would I use this weapon on? It's simple, Sharky and maybe Myanmar. The other alternative to being successful with this weapon on all maps is to know where to be. For example, you will see clips of me on Oman and you will realize that I try to stick to as many objects as I can. I could easily just go straight towards the enemy, but I prefer making my way near walls and car wreckages because that provides more cover for me. And also, if I'm ever spotted and somebody's trying to rush me, they won't meet me out in the open, they'll get close to me. And since this gun is a CQC beast, you pretty much have that advantage if you're expecting him. I would also suggest using a sneakier type of playstyle because it's easier to kill an enemy from the back, and if you can get close to him without alarming anybody else, you will of course have that element of surprise and that extra damage and accuracy. Now the interesting part, attachments, what would I recommend? This is very important and you guys should also listen up. Now I feel like Easy made this gun the way it is to push people away from the regular Viper mags, Predator barrel, and Nemesis stock, or even tactical stock. But many attachments in this game are so underused, and with this gun I think it has its time to shine. For your stock, the best choice is the balanced stock. This weapon's recoil is good enough, it needs no modification. But we need to lower that deviation, and the best way to do so is by using the balanced stock. For barrels, your best options are the Close-in barrel and the Scorpio barrel. This will boost up your damage per range at a maximum of 10 meters and lower your damage drop-off. Close range will now be 0 to 20 meters instead of 0 to 10, making it a much better weapon and having less damage drop-off. However, keep in mind that the Scorpio barrel will drastically change your medium to long range capabilities, but you will also lose a little bit of damage. So if you definitely want the best option, I would go with the Close-in barrel. Lastly, for magazines, it's all up to you. That will depend on your playstyle, how much accuracy you have, and your troubles. Casket mags, CQC mags, Viper mags, and even high cap mags are definitely a very good choice, and depending on whatever you want and whatever you need. For example, I would be using the casket mags on this weapon because I already feel like the damage is good enough at close range, that's why I'll be using it, and I just need extra bullets, so I would just go with casket. It was pretty hard giving this weapon a final rating because it definitely isn't overpowered. It's a weapon that G53 users will not feel comfortable using. It's different and pushes people to using other attachments than the regular Predator, Viper, and Nemesis class, and it's not as appealing to others because of its inaccuracy, but it's something unique, and I'm pretty sure that if you add the attachments I suggested and you practice a lot, it can be a very good weapon to use, and for that reason I will rate this gun a 7 out of 10. It's different, not the strongest, but definitely a unique beast at CQC. That's all I've got today, guys. If you did enjoy this gun review, please make sure to leave the like rating as it does support me and it does support the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next chapter.